Citizens, how's your spirit? I really wish that I could share this. So when you see this, please share it. I'm going to do my best to have a conversation about one of the things that is transforming the nation. And once we get a clear understanding of it, we can communicate our way through it and better accept the existence of some things by way of history. What I've always done on my channel, and let me get my glasses real quick. Otherwise, I'm in danger of overstimulating myself by squinting so much. Hmm. Okay, so as a daycare provider, a mother, an early childhood educator, and someone who has worked with the youngest Gen Z, I think, um, apology here, disturb the energy, and my microphone shut off. I would never want anyone to think that they were able of doing anything like stopping me from having this conversation with you because it's necessary. Okay, so first and foremost, we're going to start with a term known as body dysmorphia. The medical industry has invested in that term and the diagnosis, meaning that you are not comfortable with the body that you were born in. They have told you that your mind is telling you that you want to be the opposite sex of what you were born as. And then 222 on the clock, they then offer you medications to stunt your growth as a young man or woman. Okay? This, however, does not stop the underlying craving. Okay? So you go through the medical changes with the drugs and you see some results because then you begin to see the feminine or masculine body that you believe is your underlying undercurrent need. It's not. Stay with me, please. Okay? We are seeing this most specifically in unidentified young whites and young biracial children more than anybody else. And then you get to the addicted community. Then you get those who do not want to serve their country. And when you come to that fourth one, is where you get the end of a society. And that is why those of us who understand history, science, and the human composition of the brain are saying that homosexuality is not in itself the illness. The illness is depression, abuse, suppression of the things that you have been through, so much so that you would open your mind up to using other drugs aside from pharmaceutical. Cannabis is a drug, it is an herb. It, along with the other foods that you consume, is the medicine that is meant to be used to heal you of things that are coming into contact with your environment. Remember, we weren't originally a nomadic people, not everybody. Okay? There are certain groups that were nomads. Bedouins were desert nomads. That means that they stayed in their desert region. Then you have no home mads. Okay? Those people had no home to begin with. They came out of caves, down into other places, and mixed races. Okay? Having no home in the first place, they then went on to colonize rather than expand the community from which they integrated. See why today there are people who do not. It's the downfall of a nation because you eventually get to transgenderism, not because of any other reason than not having a home and self hate, not know who you are in the first place. Now, we are in a world today where you cannot banish people who are already here and they do recognize who they are underneath it all. You see, underneath it all, they are black, they are white, they are American, they are children of this country. And this country says they are children of God or anything else. So every church and everybody who has opened their doors to them while trying to change them, yet not understand them, has violated their rights throughout all this time, and that includes the medical industry, where they give homage to themselves over God and or country. So when there are those of us who say, "Don't give your baby titty skittles at 16," that's what we mean. And if you don't know what titty skittles are, you shouldn't be checking me about whether or not I should be doing this live in a library. Your children are here. Their friends are here. Their friends are queer. Their friends are transgender. Their children, their friends are from other places. You have villainized and criminalized everything about the people you allow them to keep time with, hoping that they'll change them one day. When it's you who needs to expand your mind to the idea of existence so that we can help these children adjust to the existence today and be accepted into society. There's a lot of pain that comes with that. You don't get to tell them how to deal with it. You do get to tell them that there are certain things that are not okay. If you are not willing to deal with this pain, you may not come out of the closet. Or if you do come out of the closet, you can't be sleeping with people who don't know the truth. You're passing on things that you may not otherwise be aware of. And that's in the spirit, not just in the flesh. Okay? So young men and women who have gone so far as to transition at an early age, that's otherwise known as a possession. And it's a possession spell that was placed over them by the people in their lives, their authority figures, their parents, the police, making them go back to those parents, the judges, the justice system, all of it. You are narrating or navigating the lives of people who are old enough to tell you what they are experiencing and young enough for you not to listen. But I've been listening a lot longer than the populace has. Uh, the first person um, that I knew of in first person who was trans was in 2013, 14. We became very close in our association when Sharif Muhammad was murdered. Had worked at the same place, which was Tyler's Tap Room in Durham, North Carolina. And I would frequent that place after class and after work as a culinary student at the Art Institute, Raleigh, Durham, where the industry was watching all of us because EBMC is connected to Fox. The Food Network was watching me. I chose not to go into the industry at that level. I stayed at the um, fine dining level for a short time, and then I moved around corporate and independent in order to create my own thing. And that's why you often see what seems like me being in the midst of all of this industry storm and managing my way out of it. It's because I literally am a volunteer manager, and I only volunteer to manage where I can see a benefit to the organization, myself, and the people that it represents. And that's the internal and external customer. And you can thank Dale Carnegie and the United States military for teaching me that. Skilled labor versus unskilled labor. No matter what, they both have to be happy. If they don't, the first thing that the company will experience is leakage, followed by a shortage, then disruption of services, and then eventually collapse. That's why I can consult just by way of opening my mouth on this camera. I was graduated from culinary school in 2013. 13 years later, if I can't give you a less than elevator pitch synopsis of your problems and give you solutions in the next elevator ride, right? And then provide for you opportunities to get retraining services. Hello, honey, that's resources. I'm about my business. Take this and extrapolate it out by way of working with me directly and paying consulting fees. Ooh-wee. See why I've never been worried about whether or not people have been stealing from me. You can't steal this. You can't do this. You can steal my content and you can say that you even created it. But when it comes time to show and prove the intellectual ability, honey, I own all of it. Ain't nobody can take that from me. Even the United States government, I have created tools and metrics that are seeking my assistance in getting to their uniform services in multiple countries. See the price tag rising, the clock ticking. Every time you leave me outside because of your jealousy, your envy, your greed, your belief that I'm going to bend a knee to tyranny, but I'm the queen of victory. Now you understand why I can communicate with so many so well. I ain't got to put nobody under a spell. I stood by and I listened. I was a listening ear, a loving heart, strong mind, wolf, ram, and heart. I became the apex predator they needed me to be so that I could speak from the heart what you were being stubborn about hearing. Get it? I'm no chimera. I'm far more than even a griffin by what you would call it, baby. I'm the ultimate mythical beast. You cannot put a title on me, nor can you chain me anywhere. I'm unbreakable. The industry tried to tell you, but still, you tried. Now, history has to deal with the consequences of that action. These young men and women that I was speaking about, they'll come forward and tell the truth. Should anyone ever say that I am racist, homophobic, some type of bigot, in any form of fashion, you all refuse to get it. This isn't something that I paid for allegiance. This is allegiance to common decency and the willing to listen, to have enough compassion that before I assassinate them or their character or their belief system, we have a conversation about what we do understand about each other. So that body dysmorphia piece. Let me tell you what I explained to them. In 2007, I had gastric bypass surgery because the doctor said to me, "Do you want to live to see your children graduate from high school?" I was in love with the skin I was in, but it threatened the lives of my children, and that overrode every instinct in me. So I did what I had to do to survive, and thank God I did. My children were abused by their father when they were in his custody, and as soon as I found out, I brought them back into my care and custody, and immediately filed for divorce. And I've been fighting to protect them ever since I fought my way back from death to keep them alive until I could show and prove that this is how villainous this man was. Now do you understand? So to keep history from repeating itself in my own life, I realized that I need to set aside my differences with belief systems and come to an understanding that was universal about what it is that's traumatizing me. And that was a case study of my family and what I used in order to work on my master's degree in social work after getting a bachelor's degree in culinary management, which is a bachelor's in arts and applied sciences, which means on what it is I am speaking. I also went to school for my associates in early childhood development. Due to the United States military, I was able to apply for a program that kept that in place. And I was able to shore up my education and go back and attempt to get my teaching certificate. When all of this, because I was leaving my ex husband, then would put a pin in it. You did? So were I to go back right now, show that I have all of this, take a CLEP test, I would get, indeed, my degrees and move on with my journey. And I'm so far beyond a master's at this point, baby. I can diagnose you. I can prescribe. I just don't like that shit. I'd rather give you cannabis and conversation. Let Western medicine figure out how to keep up with us. You dig what I'm saying? And that's using history to the best of your ability to bring forth groundbreaking science and move Earth in the appropriate direction so that we can decode the galaxy and the mysteries and get back to chasing stars like Kennedy had us before everybody else destroyed us. And we decided to see ourselves as different, even though we came up from the same root. Karma always spin the block. God's in control of that too. As are you. Stop being so hateful. It's not necessary. You see, watched a video recently, and while I agree that sometimes you need to misidentify those in the trans community only to help them remember that former identity, right? Because I recognize, right, is you can't actually kill off a human being, not even you. You have to absorb it. This is where Carl Jung comes in, and the dark matter, the soul energy that everybody's experiencing at this time. Hold on a second. More and more, we are seeing people who are going through it. There's a song, Take Me Through There. God, the universe, their demons, the planetary alignments, whatever you want to call it, is taking people through it. The goal is for you to get to your ultimate assignment as a human being on this planet, which is stewardship. You have got to course correct the pollutive bullshit you have done. And I do hope that pollutive is a word because you have overpollinated the world and polluted it with your negative energy, not knowing to do with your dark nights. Your dark nights have become your cravings. Your cravings have become your demons, and they used to be known as sleep paralysis monsters. Now you're frozen in the daylight and don't know what to do with yourselves. You don't know it. You don't know because people will say that you're sensitive or you'll feel sensitive. You'll always feel like a hit dog, but you won't holler. You'll just be sour. Be some of them trout mouth ass women. Mm, all the time. Like you've been sucking on lemons your whole life. Just you live trifling, you look trifling, you act trifling, you behave trifling. You are like a trifle, just a stack of nastiness. And we want you up off our back, man and woman alike. You want to misidentify me as being in the LGBTQIA community simply because I refuse to judge them the way they so to be anointed and touched by the Most High God, honey, that's your problem. Just because you don't know God in the body, spirit, soul, or the flesh. That's why you smell like hell, sulfur. And your stench represents your demons. Makes sense? Mm. So those of you, some of you smell like desperation. Oh, some of you smell like teen angst rather than teen spirit. See the difference? You'll never reach nirvana. That's why you need weed. Mm-mm. You have never known what it is to be high on life. You try to steal that from me. I have it without weed. I use weed to drown out the world around me, to deal with the overstimulation, the bright noise, and the bright sounds, especially because I chose to put myself in an ultimately immersive environment so I could heal with the crucial conflict that is humanity's mental illness. Why do you think I'm a spiritualist? I ain't no Satanist. You can't put none of that other stuff on me. But almost in every one of them so called religions and cults and stuff, you can find somebody who has molested a child, abused someone, used their authority over them to hold them hostage to their belief system, so on and so forth. I done told y'all to get away from me several times, honey. Including your children. Ask them. Ask them. They will tell you that my love is so tough, bruh. Hmm. Up in the cow city, don't play with me. Is it what they need though? Yeah, because they had y'all marshmallowy soft motherfuckers on the inside. Talking that brainwash bullshit. Also, you can get a meal ticket off your children, honey. Which brings me to the ultimate point. Under my leadership and counsel, people will no longer be paying for your children's transgender medications and whatnot. We're going to move the age of consent to 25. All children in the United States and our respective around the globe will immediately need guardians ad litem. Any future medical uh, practices will need to be overseen by someone who has the authority to ensure that the patient's best interest is at heart and that the child is under patient's rights. However, we need to make the language exist so that guardian ad litem is that child's attorney, not the families nor the parents. They are there to represent the child, to speak to the child, and with the judge to explain language that children do not understand, so that children have a chance to speak for themselves. Children exhibit verbal autonomy and knowledge of self around 6. So from 6 to 25, if there are any signs of abuse, immediately. That means if parents are already in the system, and y'all was all up in my business, honey, and I came back clean. Y'all about to be ran through by a third party organization. It has nothing to do, is not affiliated with, and if we have to bring in and move about people from other countries in order to get this shit done, so you're not related by way of city, state, and or geography, we'll do so. We've all had enough of it. We've got to give up our homes for 6 months to a year or longer to do this as civilians, along with and in accordance with government agencies. We'll do so. We'll even don a uniform to get it done long enough to make it happen. And that's fuck NATO and the UN. Doctors Without Borders will get with Jose Andres. We can create our own core of decent human being in this thing. So y'all all need to get over your feelings and determine whether or not you want to be considered a part of polite society as it exists from this moment forward, or continue to be cancel culturists and see if we don't cancel your culture. Cult leaders, we coming for you anyway. Anton Daniels, that's what it's gonna look like. Turn yourselves in or deal with your consequences. Y'all made Donald Trump a cult leader in 2020 with MAGA. The fact that he consumed the maggots and fed them to y'all does not make Donald Trump ultimately involved. Y'all want to put up all everybody's history? That's cool beans with me. We're gonna dredge up everybody's ish to the surface. What's done in the dark will come to the light. When you weigh your ish against mine, y'all lose every time. Just like that. I am basically flung all the way into the Andromeda, right? Had to come back and float around like Three Eye Atlas for a while, just pretending I wasn't even here, minding my business, because y'all doing too much, and you refuse to take responsibility for it. And then you see people getting consequences for their criminal misdeeds and their abuses of power, their abuses of authority, and then you begin to see the wheels turning, and you see more of me more frequently. People like to believe that this is them doing something. It's not. This is me understanding the ebb and flow of societal energy and recognizing that if you keep a beat with the planetary alignment, you can find the rhythm of the funky beat. I'll always be right here while y'all doing this shit. Mind my own business. I told them, you got to put the cipher before the I because it's not a one for you binaries. That's why we have non binaries. A cipher and an I. I see one, I see three. The sun sees me, even though I have two siblings before me. I see the three that come after me. We are in planetary alignment. It's almost like if those two were to drop out, we would still keep going. Makes sense? Not on the back end, though. You get rid of Pluto, we're in trouble. There you go. Just a little bit of science. That's it. A little bit of history, a little bit of understanding. We're at the moment where we can take the old matrix of science and test them against the model of human being that exists today. However, informed consent. You have to tell the people, hey, listen, this can happen right now. Watch me. When I say everybody can listen. If every world leader, corporate executive, and all the way up and down that pipeline, right, were to turn around to the nearest camera and just stop and say, look, we are going to chill out. You can hear the crybaby energy in the background, can't you? Headhunters worried that they're going to lose their jobs. I really get tired of people. They want me to find them an exit strategy when they refuse to stop doing dumb shit. In my belief, they should be exited immediately from humanity. So they really might want to stop playing with me. There's always someone else who can take your position. Now you tell me who can assume my position and or authority, honey. I'll wait. So Steve and I said stay out of grown people's business. See how the energy changed around me? Yeah, ever so slightly, but you can hear it. Almost a pin drop now. Huh. If every global entity were to turn around and decide to seek peace rather than another treaty, you see, to take their defense budget and redistribute it among multiple agencies, put people on the ground determining what it is that the people in the country seek. No one trusts their government anymore. All we see are a bunch of people glad handing. We see a bunch of lobbyists and celebrities making money off of their political affiliations and us being marginalized until it's time for policy writing or political grandizing, so to speak. Democracy seems far more ego driven than humanity was told. Humanity was sold democracy by way of colonizers. See me now? Then you get Bernie Sanders who wants to sell you democratic socialization. They would tell you that communism is closest to socialism, I guess. Marxism, lots of isms, aren't there? So why would not transgenderism be a faction of politics rather than an actual human growth and development? Why wouldn't those who would have otherwise been soldiers in the 1980s, but for uh, college waivers, where they went on to practice, said, what's the word I'm looking for? Dysfunctions that would later turn into depravities and get you all the way to what we know today to be bestiality. Now, if you were to take that science and math and you track it to, say, the Caucasus Mountains, or if you take it to the 1980s where Ronald Reagan said that uh, HIV and or AIDS came from men who lay with men and or animals and then went home and slept with women. And that's a little secret you want to cover up, isn't it? You know, patient zero, HIV infection was supposed to be a monkey. He slept with somebody and they slept with somebody. And now y'all got running rampant. all around the world, even after the 80s. Your children don't want that. Mm. Yet, even without laying with a man, they're still getting it. I don't know if that makes sense. Hmm. And then y'all go and get so smart as to drink bleach, take horse tranquilizers, and irradiate your skin. Child, you basically sanitize your blood to the point where anything you come in contact with, will more than likely kill you. Damn, you have taken that bloodborne illness and sanitized it. So it's no longer carried in the blood. It's carried in is it the plasma? Whatever basically end up becoming a part of your sputum. So when you cough that shit out into the air. And the vaccines are what got us here. So if you got that nasty vaccine and you thought you were keeping your blood clean, you cleansed it along with that other ish, sanitizing all the time, wearing a mask, right? Now you ain't doing nothing but coughing up all of these new modern COVIDs, right? Which COVID is basically a cold, a flu at best, okay? Something you can get through. Because y'all did all this other stuff without testing it, without knowing what's going on, you have created a strain of HIV that is viral. You just sitting here without a mask on. Herd immunity, baby. That very first hit of COVID, I have kept the mask off and built up my immune system ever since. That's why when you saw me in them videos back there, I looked like I was dying. I'm still thin, but I look a lot healthier and do a lot more. Mm-hmm. That right there, baby. That's in my DNA. Go ahead and kill me. See how quick the rest of you bitches die out here. Oh, shit. I'll help you though. Get up off the dairy, exercise your lungs and your heart. Get to the point where you can sustain your heart rate without having to take naps and a long break. For example, if it takes you if you can do 15 minutes of exercise, but it takes you 3 days to recover, do 5 minutes of exercise and don't increase it until it takes you 15 minutes of recovery or five in the beginning. 1 minute of exercise, 1 minute of rest, 1 minute of exercise, 1 minute of rest. Only do that for 5 minutes and then go rest. Do things that don't require you to um, exercise your heart quite as much, but keep your mind going. So that's going to help you burn calories while you're still. And then if you can, do something like stretching or some type of play that stimulates but doesn't get your heart rate all the way up to the exercising level. It'll help. Only do physical therapy. Use, I'm going to always suggest cannabis first. Take regular medicated baths. Eat edibles and consume by way of either combustion or convection flour. Make sure that it's getting into your airways. You're also going to be able to um, bypass the blood-brain barrier that way, and you will begin to cough up and or expirate more of the icky things that are stuck in your chest. So if you get off dairy, which helps it to collect, you'll reduce the amount of phlegm and you'll begin to feel better again. For those of you who don't use anything and you're still feeling symptoms of long haul COVID, it's because you need to exercise more, expirate, and you need to live more of a life like someone who has cystic fibrosis, I believe, is where they have to constantly be patted on the back. And you may see signs of improvement were you to give them cannabis in an inhaler form to help them expand their lungs, heart, lungs, diaphragm. That's the brain's power cell. Like the brain's like the box that stores the parts to the battery, right? The power cell would be like, let's say the transmission, your carburetor, and all that stuff, right? Your engine, okay? And then you've got your fuel tank, which is your tummy, okay? And I had guys who bypass surgeries. They basically bypassed my tummy, right? Micronutrients are all that get through to my bloodstream. And I'm malnourished even in those until cannabis. That's why you see me using lots of it. What would otherwise probably put somebody under. But I have to get to a baseline level just so that I can eat, consume enough calories to keep going. I would otherwise be deceased. Cancer patients live with the exact same thing, usually whether or not they've had any type of surgeries, but especially if they've had some form of radiation or chemo. Which chemo ain't nothing but a bunch of chemicals injected into your body to kill off the cancer, but it also kills off everything else in your body. See what I'm saying? Y'all did that's it inadvertently, really. But you poisoned yourselves. I don't believe that it'll last forever. Uh, Eat right, exercise, populate your environment with healthy, uh, I hate to say this, healthy contaminants. Okay, you need to get dirty. Uh, you need to go outside. Okay, also listen to me very carefully. You need to go outside, get some dirt on your hand, leave the dirt on the doorknob. Come inside, wash your hands. Okay, it's a baby going through it, honey, and it's got me going through it for a moment. Okay, when you go inside and wash your hands, you're gonna wash off the bad bacteria. Okay, you're gonna leave good bacteria. What I want you to do is then put oil on your hands. Okay, seal in that layer of good bacteria that you got from outside playing in the dirt. Okay, and then I just want you to go out through your house planting good bacteria everywhere. The oil will help leave back little sticky remnants of good stuff. Okay, leave that for 24 hours. Don't do nothing. Okay, let it grow, let it be. Then, once you go back outside the next day, once you do the same thing, leave the doorknob alone, let it get dirty. Come on back in, wash your hands, clean up everything in your house. Just clean it. Don't use bleach, use soap and water. Use soap and water. All right. And then I want you to seal anything that's porous with the appropriate oil or sealant. After that, and it sits and dries, then you can begin to sanitize again. Same with your body. Then you will be protecting, leaving in the healthy bacteria, probiotics, whatever you want to call it, and keeping out the bad things. Okay, building up a layer of protection on your skin to keep the cooties from getting into your irritated skin and or pores. Okay, and then if every now and then when you shower, before you finish your shower, right, warm shower, put oil on, and then let the cool water at least, right, hit your body again. So you shock your pores and you close that oil into your skin. And now you've got a protective barrier between you and the elements and the cooties in the world that exist. And if we do that as a populace, people should be able to come back from this. I don't think that it has to be a virus that exists the way that the underlying HIV and or AIDS does, because it's still a viral thing, but it was in the blood and not airborne. That's my thoughts. That's what I figured out thus far. There are no guarantees. But humanity has decided to sit down and take some time off from all of this and focus on healing the country. We did this to ourselves. If we can take 2 to 3 years to invest in our deaths, why can't we take 2 years to invest in our healing? That's my suggestion as a consultant to humanity.